The cafeteria of the Galactic Academy of Sciences was unlike any other place in the known universe. Here, students from thousands of different species came together to eat, study, and share their knowledge. The room was divided into hundreds of sections, each designed for different atmospheric needs and dietary requirements. Neri sat in her crystalline environmental pod, carefully absorbing her daily nutrients through her transparent outer layer. Like all members of her species from the Lumina system, she didn't eat solid food. Instead, she absorbed specially prepared mineral solutions that kept her crystalline body functioning. As she sat there, something caught her attention. A new student had just walked in. A human, she realized. She had heard about humans joining the academy, but this was her first time seeing one up close. His name tag read Do Hyun in universal script. What happened next made her nearly crack her outer shell in shock. Do Hyun walked through the cafeteria, picking up food from different species sections. He took some purple berries from the Methane Brothers area, grabbed a handful of rock salt from the silicon-based life forms section, and even picked up some glowing fungi that the plasma beings usually consumed. He's going to die, Neri thought, her crystalline structure vibrating with anxiety. Everyone knew that mixing food types was dangerous. Each species had their own special dietary needs. Even touching food meant for another species could cause serious harm. Unable to watch this disaster unfold, Neri rushed out of her pod, her emergency atmospheric shield automatically activating. "Stop," she called out, her universal translator making her musical crystal sounds into understandable speech. "Those foods are not compatible. They will kill you." Do Hyun looked up from his tray, a piece of glowing mushroom halfway to his mouth. "Oh, hello," he said with a friendly smile. "Would you like to join me for lunch?" Neri's crystal structure flickered with confusion. But you can't eat those together. The purple berries are toxic to carbon-based life forms, and the glowing fungi are meant only for plasma beings. Do Hyun chuckled, popping the mushroom into his mouth. "Actually, I can eat all of these. Humans can digest almost anything organic and some inorganic things too. Our stomachs are like little chemical processing plants." Nari moved closer, her scientific curiosity overtaking her fear. "That's impossible. The chemical reactions would. Would you like to see my medical data?" Do Hyun offered, pulling out his data pad. "Professor Tahi, our biology teacher, has been documenting human digestive capabilities for the Academy's research." As Neri looked at the readings, her crystal structure pulsed with amazement. The data showed Do Hyun's stomach acid was strong enough to break down materials that would dissolve most species' digestive systems. His gut bacteria could process compounds that would be lethal to others. "But how?" she asked, her voice carrying the musical tones of pure fascination. "We evolved on a planet with lots of different food sources," Do Hyun explained, munching on the purple berries. "Early humans had to eat whatever they could find to survive. Over time, our bodies developed ways to handle almost any kind of organic matter." Other students had started gathering around their table, drawn by Neri's earlier outburst. A gaseous being floated nearby, its cloud-like form swirling with interest. A silicon-based student clicked its crystal appendages in amazement. "Watch this," Do Hyun said, picking up a piece of metal-rich mineral that the silicon beings used for sustenance. He bit into it with a crunch. "We can't get much nutrition from this, but our teeth and digestive system can handle it. It might even provide some essential minerals." Neri's educational programming kicked in. As a xenobiology student, this was the most fascinating thing she had ever seen. Would you let me study your digestive system?" she asked, her crystal structure glowing with excitement. Do Hyun smiled. "Sure. I'm actually looking for a research partner for my cultural exchange project. We could work together. You can study human digestion, and I can learn about crystalline beings' absorption processes." "But what about the toxic effects?" asked a nearby plasma student, their form flickering with concern. "Our livers are amazing at handling toxins," Do Hyun explained, Plus, we have multiple ways to get rid of harmful substances. We can sweat them out, break them down, or, he paused, realizing some details might be too graphic for lunch. Neri was already recording everything in her data crystal. This is incredible. The implications for space travel and colonization alone are enormous. A species that can eat almost anything. Just wait until you learn about what humans call street food, Do-hyun said with a grin, or something we like to call competitive eating. The cafeteria was now buzzing with excitement. Word spread quickly through the Academy's communication networks. By the end of lunch period, Do-hyun had been invited to 3 different xenobiology research projects and had to turn down numerous requests to demonstrate his eating capabilities. As they left the cafeteria together, Neri's crystal structure sparkled with enthusiasm. I have so many questions. Can you eat energy forms? What about radioactive materials? Is there anything humans can't digest? Do-hyun laughed. Well, we definitely shouldn't eat radioactive stuff. And there are plenty of things that can make us sick. But you'd be surprised at what humans consider food. Have you heard about something called hot pepper eating contests? Neri's translator struggled to process his explanation of voluntarily eating pain-causing substances for fun. Her confusion only grew when Do-hyun mentioned something called competitive hot dog eating. As they walked to their next class, Neri realized she had discovered something amazing. Humans weren't just another spacefaring species joining the galactic community. They were walking, talking biological marvels. And she was going to be the first crystalline being to study them up close. Do-hyun, she said, her voice crystals chiming with determination. I think this is the beginning of a very interesting research project. And friendship, Do-hyun added with a smile. Nothing brings people together like food, even if one of us doesn't technically eat. As they entered Professor Tahi's xenobiology class, Neri could hardly contain her excitement. She had started the day wondering why humans had been admitted to the Academy, and now she couldn't wait to learn more about these fascinating beings who could eat almost anything. Little did she know, this was just the beginning of her discovery about the amazing adaptability of human biology. The next few weeks at the Galactic Academy of Sciences were the most exciting of Neri's academic life. After that first day in the cafeteria, she and Do-hyun had started their research project on human digestive capabilities. Professor Tahi had given them full access to the xenobiology labs, which made Neri's crystal structure pulse with joy. Today, they were setting up their 3rd major experiment. The lab was filled with different food samples from across the galaxy, each carefully labeled and analyzed. Are you sure about this? Neri asked, her crystalline form glowing with concern as she looked at the array of substances they had collected. Some of them were considered highly dangerous to most species. Do-hyun nodded, checking the safety monitors one last time. Don't worry. We've already confirmed none of these are actually toxic to humans. They're just unusual. Professor Tahi stood nearby, recording everything with scientific precision. Remember, Do-hyun, you only need to take small samples. This is about analysis, not a meal. The first test subject was a blue fruit from the methane worlds. Most carbon-based life forms couldn't even touch it without getting sick. Do-hyun picked it up and took a bite. Tastes like blueberries mixed with mint, he said, chewing thoughtfully. A bit fizzy, too. Neri's sensors went wild as they recorded his body's reaction. Amazing. Your stomach acid is actually breaking down the toxic outer layer and converting it into harmless compounds. But how are you handling the methane content? That's the really interesting part, Professor Tahi explained, pointing to the readings. Human bodies can process small amounts of many gases. We evolved breathing oxygen, but our systems can handle trace amounts of other gases too. Next came a sample of crystalline growth, similar to what Neri's species used for nutrition. Do-hyun carefully nibbled on the edge. This one's tricky, he admitted. It's like trying to eat very hard candy. I can break it down, but it would take a long time to digest properly. He paused. Sorry, Neri, I don't think I'll be sharing your regular meals anytime soon. Neri chimed with laughter, her crystal structure sparkling. That's probably for the best, though I'm still amazed you can process it at all. The experiments continued through the afternoon. They tested foods from volcanic worlds, deep-sea planets, and even some plants that could survive in space. Du Hyun could eat them all, though some he liked better than others. This one tastes like old socks, he said, making a face at a purple paste from an ocean world. How do you know what old socks taste like? Nari asked, genuinely curious. It's just an expression. Du Hyun laughed. Though honestly, humans have probably tried eating socks at some point in our history. We're pretty adventurous with food. Professor Tahi added another note to her records. That's actually an important point. Human survival often depended on trying new food sources. Your ancestors had to eat whatever they could find. As they worked, other students began dropping by the lab. Word had spread about their research, and everyone wanted to see the human who could eat anything. A group of energy beings hovered near the ceiling, their light patterns showing their fascination. Could you explain about the stomach acid again? Asked a silicon-based student named Kiho. Our species can't understand how it doesn't destroy your internal organs. Do Hyun smiled. Our stomachs have a special lining that protects them. The acid is strong enough to dissolve metal, but it doesn't hurt us. Watch this. He picked up a small piece of processed metal food that Kaiho's species enjoyed. Within minutes of eating it, the sensors showed his stomach breaking it down. The acid in Do Hyun's stomach is stronger than some industrial solvents, Neri explained, her scientific excitement making her crystal structure vibrate. But the really amazing part is how their bodies know what to absorb and what to dispose of. Professor Tahi pulled up a holographic display of the human digestive system. Humans have multiple systems for processing different types of materials. Their intestines can extract nutrients from almost anything organic, and their liver can filter out most toxins. A plasma being named Eugene floated closer. But what about energy consumption? The power needed to maintain such a complex system must be enormous. Actually, we're pretty efficient, Du Hyun said. We can store extra energy as fat, and our bodies are good at using whatever resources are available. Humans can survive on very different types of diets. Nari added more data to her crystal storage. We've documented Do Hyun safely eating foods from over 50 different species now. The only things we found that humans absolutely cannot eat are certain types of radiation-based nutrients and pure energy forms. Don't forget about Tide Pods, Du Hyun joked, then had to spend 10 minutes explaining to a confused audience why humans had to be specifically told not to eat laundry detergent. As the day's experiments wound down, Professor Tahi gathered everyone around. What we're learning here goes beyond just understanding human biology. This research could help us develop new ways to process food for space travel or create emergency rations that more species can eat. Neri's crystal structure pulsed with pride. Their research was already getting attention from the Academy's senior scientists. We're also studying how human gut bacteria help with digestion. Some species might be able to use modified versions of these bacteria to process food more efficiently. Just remember, Du Hyun added, looking at some of the younger students who seemed too excited, don't try eating random things without proper research. Even humans have limits, and we've had millions of years to develop our digestive abilities. As they cleaned up the lab, Neri noticed something interesting in their data. Du Hyun, look at these patterns. When you eat something new, your body actually adapts to process it better the next time. It's like your whole digestive system is learning. Professor Tahi came over to look. This could be groundbreaking. If we can understand how human bodies adapt to new food sources, it might help other species develop similar capabilities. Does this mean I have to keep eating that purple paste? Du Hyun asked, looking worried. For science, Neri chimed happily. The things I do for research, Du Hyun sighed, but he was smiling. At least tomorrow we're testing desserts from the gas giant worlds. Those might actually taste good. As they left the lab that evening, Neri realized their research was becoming something bigger than she had imagined. They weren't just studying human digestion anymore. They were discovering new possibilities for the entire galactic community. Do-hyun, she said, her crystal structure glowing softly in the dim corridor. Thank you for being such a willing test subject. Thank you for not freaking out when I eat weird things, he replied with a grin. Most humans would think twice about some of these experiments. Little did they know, their research would soon become even more important than they could have imagined. 3 months into their research project, Neri and Do-hyun received an urgent message from the Galactic Science Council. A major space station in the Outer Rim was facing a crisis. The message came through while they were in Professor Tadhi's advanced xenobiology class. Attention all Academy members. The holographic message flickered in the center of the classroom. Station Delta 7 is experiencing a severe supply shortage. A cosmic storm has delayed all supply ships for at least 2 weeks. The station houses 15 different species, each with specific dietary needs. We need immediate solutions. Professor Tahi looked at Do-hyun and Neri. Your research might help. Would you be willing to go to the station? The Academy can arrange immediate transport. Do-hyun nodded without hesitation. Of course. If humans can eat their emergency supplies, maybe we can help figure out what other species can safely eat too. Neri's crystal structure sparkled with determination. I'll bring our research data. Maybe we can apply what we've learned about human digestion to help other species process different food types. Within hours, they were aboard a fast transport ship heading to Station Delta 7. The station was huge, a spinning wheel of metal and glass floating in space. But when they arrived, they found a tense situation. Station Commander Yuri met them at the docking bay. Her usually neat uniform looked wrinkled, showing how long she had been working without rest. Thank goodness you're here. We have enough emergency rations for maybe 3 days, but they're not compatible with all species. Do-hyun looked at the station's supply lists. Show me everything you have, even if it's not meant for eating. Humans can digest things that might surprise you. They went to the station's main storage area. Neri immediately began scanning the available supplies with her crystal sensors. The room was filled with sealed containers, each marked for different species. The methane brothers are in the worst situation, Commander Yuri explained. Their food synthesizer broke down 2 days ago, and their backup supplies were damaged in a pressure accident. Do-hyun examined the broken synthesizer. What does it usually make? It converts basic chemical compounds into methane-based nutrients. A floating green cloud named Heijin explained. They were one of the methane-breathing species representatives. Without it, we can't process any other food types. Neri's crystal structure lit up. Do-hyun, remember how your stomach acid breaks down methane compounds? Maybe we could use that principle to create an emergency processing system. They quickly set up a temporary lab. Using their research data and the station's equipment, they began analyzing how human digestion could help solve the crisis. Do-hyun started testing different combinations of available supplies. Look at this, he said, mixing some chemical compounds from the maintenance bay. These cleaning solutions have similar basic elements to what the methane brothers need. If we process them the right way, we might be able to make them edible. Neri worked with the station's science team to adapt their findings. Human stomach acid is amazing, she explained to the gathered crew. It doesn't just break things down, it helps create new chemical compounds. We can use this process as a model. Meanwhile, other species were facing their own challenges. The silicon-based beings were running out of their mineral nutrients. The plasma entities needed special energy-rich compounds to survive. Do-hyun began eating some of the station's non-food supplies, carefully testing what could be converted into emergency rations. This metal plating has minerals that the silicon beings can use, he said between bites. And these old power cells have compounds we can extract for the plasma entities. Commander Yuri watched in amazement. You can actually digest metal. Not completely, Do-hyun explained, but enough to show us how to break it down for others to use. Humans evolved to handle almost anything organic, and quite a few inorganic things too. Nari worked round the clock, her crystal structure glowing brightly as she analyzed every test result. We're learning so much about adaptation. Every species has some ability to process different materials. They just need the right preparation method. Using their research as a guide, the station's science team began developing emergency processing systems. They created makeshift digestive chambers that mimicked human stomach acid. They found ways to break down complex materials into simpler forms that different species could handle. "It's working," Hijin exclaimed, their green cloud form swirling with excitement. "The processed compounds are similar enough to our regular food that we can absorb them safely." As the days passed, they discovered more solutions. They found that certain species could share food sources if the materials were processed correctly. Some could even adapt to new food types with the help of modified human gut bacteria. "Your research is revolutionary," Commander Yuri told them. "We're not just solving the current crisis, we're discovering new ways for different species to survive in space." The station's mood improved as food supplies stabilized. Different species gathered in the common areas, sharing their adapted meals and talking about the amazing human ability that had helped save them. "I never thought I'd say this," a silicon being named Daesung clicked, "but I'm eating processed metal plates, and they taste better than my regular food." Do-hyun laughed. "Just wait until you try what humans call fusion cuisine. We've been mixing unexpected food combinations for centuries." One evening, as they watched the cosmic storm through the station's observation window, Nari turned to Do-hyun. "You know what amazes me most? It's not just that humans can eat anything. It's that you immediately wanted to use that ability to help others." "That's another thing about humans," Do-hyun smiled. "We love sharing food. It's how we make friends, show care, and build communities, even if those friends happen to be methane-breathing clouds or crystalline beings." Commander Yuri joined them at the window. "The supply ships will arrive soon, but we're keeping all the emergency systems you developed. The Galactic Science Council wants every space station equipped with similar processing capabilities." "And we're just getting started," Nari chimed excitedly. "Think about what else we might discover about human adaptability." As they watched the storm's colors swirl through space, Do-hyun realized that what had started as a simple cafeteria surprise had turned into something much bigger. Humans weren't just surviving in the galactic community. They were helping it grow and adapt in ways nobody had expected. Little did they know, their biggest challenge and opportunity was still to come. 1 month after the space station crisis, the main hall of the Galactic Academy of Sciences was packed with beings from across the galaxy. Nari stood on the presentation platform, her crystal structure glowing with a mix of excitement and nervousness. Do-hyun sat in the front row, giving her an encouraging thumbs up. A human gesture she had come to understand meant support. "Distinguished members of the Galactic Science Council," Nari began, her voice crystals creating clear, confident tones. "What started as a simple observation in our academy cafeteria has led to a breakthrough in xenobiology and space travel safety." The holographic displays behind her showed their research data. Pictures and videos from their work at Station Delta 7 played, showing how they had helped solve the crisis. "Humans have something extraordinary," Nari continued. "Their digestive system isn't just flexible. It's a perfect model for creating universal food processing systems. Today, we want to share how this discovery can change life across the galaxy." Professor Tahi stepped forward to present the technical details. Human stomach acid can break down materials that most species consider inedible. But more importantly, humans can extract nutrients from almost any organic matter. We've used this as a blueprint for new food processing technology. Do-hyun joined them on stage to demonstrate. He ate a piece of metal, then showed how their new processing unit could break down similar materials for silicon-based beings to consume. He drank liquid that would be toxic to most species, while their conversion system turned the same compound into safe nutrition for methane breathers. But this is about more than just eating strange things, Do Hyun explained to the audience. It's about survival and adaptation. Humans learned to eat almost anything because we had to. Now we can use that ability to help everyone. Commander Yuri, who had traveled from Station Delta 7 for the presentation, shared her experience. These discoveries saved my station. We've permanently installed their processing systems, and now we can handle any supply shortage. Different species can share resources in ways we never thought possible. The council members leaned forward with interest as Neri displayed their next breakthrough. We've also found ways to modify human gut bacteria to help other species digest new foods. This means colonies and space stations won't need to stock 15 different types of emergency rations anymore. A council member, a floating energy being, spoke up. What about the risks? Surely attempting to digest foreign substances is dangerous. Do Hyun stepped forward. That's why we've spent months creating safety protocols. We're not suggesting everyone should eat everything. Instead, we're using human digestive processes as a model to create safe conversion systems for each species. Neri's crystal structures sparkle as she moved to their final point. The real breakthrough came when we realized this wasn't just about digestion. Human adaptability shows us how different species can survive in new environments. We're calling it the Universal Adaptation Project. The hall buzzed with excitement as they explained their plans. The Academy would establish the first human biology research center, dedicated to studying how human adaptations could help other species. Space stations across the galaxy would be equipped with their new processing systems. Think about the possibilities, Neri said enthusiastically. Space exploration won't be limited by food supplies anymore. Colonies can survive on local resources. Different species can share emergency supplies, all because humans can digest almost anything. After the presentation, the council voted unanimously to fund their project. As scientists and officials crowded around to ask questions, Do Hyun smiled at Neri. Remember when you thought I was going to die from eating cafeteria food? He teased. Neri's crystal structure chimed with laughter. Remember when you had to explain why humans invented hot dog eating contests? Professor Tahi joined them, looking proud. You two have started something remarkable. This isn't just about food anymore. It's about bringing species together. They spent the rest of the day meeting with scientists from across the galaxy. Everyone wanted to know more about human digestive capabilities and how they could be applied to help different species. The most important thing we learned, Neri told a group of young students, wasn't just that humans can eat anything. It's that every species has hidden abilities that can help others. Humans taught us to look for those possibilities. That evening, they celebrated in the same cafeteria where their adventure had begun. Species that once had to eat separately now shared processed foods, thanks to their new conversion systems. Do Hyun watched with satisfaction as a silicon being and a methane breather enjoyed the same processed meal, modified for their different needs. You know what's really amazing? He said to Neri. Humans spent thousands of years thinking we were behind other species because we couldn't breathe underwater or survive in space naturally. But it turns out our simple digestive system was extraordinary all along. Neri's crystal structure glowed warmly. That's what I love about science. Sometimes the most remarkable discoveries come from the things we take for granted. As they looked around the cafeteria, now filled with different species eating together and sharing stories, they realized they had changed more than just xenobiology. They had shown that understanding and adapting to differences could make the whole galaxy stronger. So, Do Hyun said with a grin, ready to start our next research project. I heard some plasma beings wondering if humans really sleep for 8 hours every day. Neri's crystal structure flickered with amusement, one discovery at a time. Though I have been curious about why humans need something called coffee to function in the morning. As the stars shone through the Academy's transparent dome, they knew this was just the beginning. Human biology had many more secrets to share with the galaxy, and they were ready to discover them all. After all, if a human and a crystalline being could become best friends over unusual eating habits, anything was possible in this vast, wonderful universe.